Martin Koch is also known as the stutterer, began his life as a criminal. He was convicted of 2 murders and involved in drug trafficking, among other crimes. After his release, he started a crime blog, which ultimately led to his demise. Who was Martin? And why was he assassinated? In this video, I will tell you everything about the stutterer. Martin Koch was born on June 25, 1967, in Edam. Even during his youth, he was involved in cocaine trafficking in Volendam. As a 12-year-old boy, Martin Koch went from Volendam to Amsterdam to sell eels on the street with his father. This led him to the Zeedyk, which was dominated by heroin dealers and addicts in the early 1980s. On the red light district, he came into contact with individuals from the criminal underworld. In the cafes of Amsterdam's red light district, he would sell his pounds of eels to the Amsterdam underworld. Martin became fascinated by the dark world of the underworld and did everything he could to belong there. He didn't perform well in school. He struggled with learning, and his severe stuttering made him difficult to understand. Hence, his nickname, the stutterer, originated from there. When he turned 16, he started working in the cloakroom of a club in Volendam. However, he didn't just hang up coats, he quickly began selling packets of cocaine to the visitors. According to his own account, he flooded the entire town of Volendam with cocaine. At the age of 22, Martin first came to the attention of the police when he assaulted 21-year-old Peter Gijsbergen on February 16, 1989, by hitting him with a barstool in a cafe in Volendam. Sadly, Peter Gijsbergen succumbed to his injuries and died in the hospital. It turned out that Peter Gijsbergen was a troublesome individual who terrorized the Volendam nightlife every weekend. Martin Koch was convicted for this incident and sentenced to 5 years in prison. His friend Dino Sorel, who was involved as well, received a 4-year prison sentence. Martin has stated that he never regretted his actions. While in prison, Martin became friends with Cor van Hout. Cor was a prominent Dutch criminal, best known for the kidnapping of Freddie Heineken and his driver in 1983. Martin Koch greatly admired Cor van Hout and saw him as a role model. After his release, Martin became involved in his criminal network. They were often seen together at a clubhouse in Vijfhuizen. Cor van Hout was involved in hashish trade there, and Martin assisted him by arranging prostitutes and carrying out criminal debt collections. In the late 1990s, Martin met the mother of his children. He had 2 children with her. However, his relationship with Sandra deteriorated, leading to disputes over custody arrangements for the children. On July 24, 2001, Martin drove to Zwag with a loaded gun, where Sandra was living with her new boyfriend. He was furious about being denied access to his children and believed that Sandra was intentionally trying to separate them from him. He arrived at the residence and entered aggressively. At that moment, Sandra's new boyfriend tried to stop him and grabbed a screwdriver to threaten Martin. Martin responded by shooting him multiple times, causing his death. "If they touch my children, I go crazy," Martin explained as his motive for the outburst of violence. Martin was subsequently sentenced to 14 years in prison. When Martin became bored in prison, he decided to start an escort agency. Due to being considered a flight risk, he was unable to secure a job as a cleaner or sports assistant within the prison. He was not allowed to freely move around the building and required extra supervision. Despite his status, he managed to persuade the prison director to allow him access to a small office equipped with a computer and phone. From there, he started his own escort agency called Vlinders, a Dutch word for butterflies, while he was still in prison. Martin cleverly exploited the right that inmates have to receive unsupervised visits once a month. For a few €100, he arranged through his online escort agency for prostitutes to visit the inmates instead of their regular partners. In 2012, Martin was released from prison, but his escort agency was facing financial difficulties. As a result, in 2015, he decided to start a crime blog. He created the website vlinderscrime.nl, where he shared ongoing events in the criminal underworld. He wrote about motorcycle gangs, powerful drug lords, and didn't care about the consequences or fear anyone. He stepped on the toes of many underworld bosses, whether it was Hollider or key figures from the Moroccan and Turkish underworld. They were all exposed on Blinder Crime. Countless exclusive stories appeared on his website. He received information about current events and who had ended up in prison from both current and former inmates as well as prison staff. He had extensive knowledge of the underworld, given his years of experience in the Dutch criminal scene. According to Quote magazine, the website became the most visited crime site in the Netherlands, with advertisements costing up to €8,000 per year. In a short period, Martin managed to attract over 1 million visitors per month with raw, uncensored crime news. Half-rumors were thrown on the site, featuring pictures of suspects with their full names and without blurring. Everything was published on the site. It was a constant stream of provocations, disregarding any journalistic rules regarding privacy protection. Many fellow journalists predicted that this wouldn't end well. The criminal milieu was far from pleased with someone spreading sensitive information. Martin published excerpts from the closed-door interrogation of Willem Holleder, among other things. He also wrote about the Moroccan mafia, including Ridouan Taghi. Not everyone was pleased with the information Martin presented on his website. Some individuals even demanded that he remove the information from his website. This escalated to the point where his house and car were shot at multiple times, and a bomb was placed under his car. However, Martin didn't care and continued spreading information calmly. In the months leading up to his death, he took things to another level. He wrote numerous blogs about key figures in the Moroccan mafia. He ridiculed individuals such as Noufal F., who had recently been arrested in Ireland, portraying him as a sort of idiot on his website. He also posted photos of prominent figures who had largely remained under the radar until then, Rico the Chilean and Ridouan Taghi. They were unknown to the general public at the time. It was clear that Martin had targeted this group, and his actions were not well received. After surviving 2 failed assassination attempts, Martin was placed under a protection program by the authorities. During the last 6 months before his death, he resided in secure locations in the Netherlands. However, in the weeks leading up to his death, he started to appear more openly in the vicinity of Amsterdam. He frequented cafes, attended parties, and visited his beloved sex club, Boccaccio, in Laren. On December 8, 2016, after visiting the aforementioned sex club in Laren, Martin was about to get into his car when a shooter emerged from the bushes and shot him multiple times in the head. Ridouan Taghi is suspected of ordering this murder, but it has not been proven yet. This case is part of the extensive series of assassinations in the so-called Marengo trial. Martin Koch had many enemies. Who do you think killed Martin Koch? Let us know in the comments. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to my channel and click the bell icon so you don't miss any videos.